This is Blair Durham with Black Wall Street Today, your media hub for all things Black business and related news, strategy, and events.
Greetings.
Adapt. Adapt came to my mind during the COVID era. And that was when I was writing this book. Adapt. Every leader has to be able to adapt. Adaptation is part of who we are as leaders. If you're not flexible, you're not in a position to be able to, besides being resilient, be able to kind of switch gears when you need to, it's going to be hard for you to excel as a business leader because you're so stuck in your ways that all of a sudden there's a storm and now you don't know what to do. But I'll share this with you. The first aspect about adaptability is what? Being aware. Awareness comes with understanding your business. That's why I said you got to be proficient, right? You got to be competitive. Being aware of what your brand is doing, how you're working in the marketplace, how you excel in the marketplace. If you're not aware and you're oblivious to what's happening, I'll tell you, the people that are most aware of what's happening are stock brokers and traders or day traders. They can tell you everything that's happening in United States of America. They can tell you everything that's going on because money depends on it, right? That's how you have to treat your business. Be aware. It takes a very strategic view and perspective to be aware. But what does that do for you? It makes you easily able to flex, right? There was a word that was used during the COVID era. It was pivot. You can easily pivot because you're aware. And as a leader, that's a characteristic that you have to be able to have. Talking about adaptability here. The second attribute the second strategy, because I don't want you to confuse the attribute or quality with the strategies that I'm referring to, is diligence. It just happens to be an attribute as well. Diligence. Diligence is something that drives your passion. Once you become aware of what is going on in your company, in your organization, and you want to make a shift or you want to pivot to the right place, guess what? Then your diligence now kicks in. Diligence happens to be one of the qualities or attributes that you have to have as a leader, right? The diligence enables you as a leader to then find a way to excel. Now, how many of you believe that diligence is what probably has got you here besides the grit? Yes. And I love what you're doing, by the way, and I'm going to connect with you after this because, oh my goodness, I eat mushrooms a lot, but I never knew the qualities of what it had. And even somebody who studies mushrooms and all that, I didn't even know all about that. So I'm really intrigued by that. But I bet whatever you're doing took diligence because you're aware of what's happening in the mushroom world, right? Absolutely. And you're aware of the value that it brings to people's health. I mean, that is so awesome. But with this diligence comes another thing. You gotta be accommodating to circumstances that you cannot control. And sometimes it's with the people that you work with. My brain sometimes is really, really small. I can't do multiple things at once like most ladies can. Right, and I know because I'm not a lady, maybe that's the reason why. But I've always said that, ladies have this gift of multitasking. They can do so many things at once. So guess who I surround myself with a lot of times when I want to get stuff done? Yes, you guessed right. right? And that comes with being able to take care of the shortcomings of people as well as the strengths of people. You have to be accommodating for you to be able to adapt as well, because not everybody's going to be on your level. You may be up here with everything. You're on task doing stuff, but some people might not have that strength to be able to do that. You got to be accommodating to do that as a leader. It's part of being adaptable. And then comes what? The proficiency we talked about. Being proficient at what you're doing to be able to enable you to adapt. And ultimately, then being transient. Transient is something that you become in such a way that when things are not going well and you have to then pivot, you're already positioned to be able to do that. These are some of the things that you need to have to be adaptable. All right? And the last topic I'm going to talk about here, I wish I had my diagram up here, but I want you to imagine this as I talk about it, is every focused leader, which all of you are, at some point in your career, at some point in your life, has to be able to mentor somebody, to groom somebody, to take your place. If you're focused in your business, you're driven, you're passionate, you've got to be able to have somebody that follows into your footsteps. So I have a model that I developed called the Leader Efficacy Model. What does that mean? It means that it's a quadrant, right? And I'll explain that here shortly to you. Every one of us, every leader falls into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so as you're picking leaders to grow your business, to scale your business, you have to think of it from this perspective. The very first people that are going to be in quadrant 1, that you're going to recruit, that is going to come up, that you're going to mentor, is going to be the potentials. The potentials are people who you're going to identify as you recruit. But what do you do with people that are potentials in your business? Now, some of you, probably most of you here might be solopreneurs, sole proprietors, but that's okay. I believe that you probably want to scale your business to grow, and so you're going to have to groom people to do that. But think about the quadrants in which you are going to use to grow these people. The first group of people are going to be the people that are potentials. This person is a potential leader, and that what you do with those people, you got to be able to do something with them. You got to be able to identify them, design the path for them, and then develop them so that they can ultimately take your place. Are we following? Identify them, develop them so they can take your place. So that's the first quadrant, the first group of people that you got to be able to have. And then the second group of people are the promoters. They're all going to be P's, by the way, so there's a trend here already. Potentials and promoters. What do you do with promoters in your company? Promoters are the people that they're already in your company, or they're already part of your team, but they're not really that effective at getting things done. You don't want to say, well, I'm sorry, you're fired. Or, well, you don't belong here. You've got to be able to do something with those who are promoters, because they're gonna speak your name every day. They're gonna promote your brand. They're gonna do things for your company and all that. Guess what? You retain them and restore them. You retain and restore. You following? You retain and restore your promoters. Promoters are people in your company that are going to speak your brand. They're going to love you. They are there because they have some benefits they're enjoying and all that. But then you've got to be able to do some of them. They may not be performers. They may not be great at what you want them to do. They may not be your best salesperson, but guess what? That's somebody that you can still use. You retain and restore them. And then there are those people that are the performers. Those fall in quadrant 3. What do you do with performers? Anybody have an idea what you do with performers? Good. All right. But before you elevate them, and we'll get to that, before you elevate them, there are people that are called producers. Producers are people that you got to engage and empower before they become performers. Producers are people who are going to get stuff done. They will do stuff. They may not be the people that you want to send out there to scale your business, to start another business, to really be the salespeople out there making things happen. They'll perform in the company, but you've got to find something for them to engage and empower them to excel. Those are your producers. Yes.
I was distracted by you.
I'm sorry. We got potentials. We got promoters. Then, okay, I said performers before. So these are producers. Producers are people that you engage and empower. You engage them and empower them to do the things that you want them to do in the company. I'm sorry.
So performers, you're not on that one yet.
Yes, I alluded to it, but I'm not on that yet. That's the last group of people. The way it works is you got potentials, promoters, producers, and performers. Performers are the people that you deploy out there. All right. What do you do with producers? Producers. Oh, yes. You engage and empower them. Because they're not going to be your people that are up front that you're going to send out there to scale and everything. They will get stuff done. They'll do things. So you got to engage them and empower them to get stuff done. But then your performers. And this is what I have for you for the performers. You develop them, you direct them, and then you deploy them. Develop, direct, and deploy. You deploy them to do what? Deploy them to do what? To start another business, to do your marketing, to just get them out there to be the face of the company. Because you're a focused leader, you understand what you're trying to do, and you're trying to grow your business. You have all these people. You need to have these 4 people or these 4 types of people in your company for you to scale. Sometimes there are people who are going to be potentials who go straight up to become performers from quadrant 1 all the way to quadrant 4 because they are just hard-charging people. They got all it takes. But then some people follow the path where they go from potentials to promoters to producers and then performers. If you're a focused leader and you're ready to scale, you're ready to produce, you're ready to excel in your business, you've got to surround yourself with the right team of people to excel. If you're a leader and you're by yourself, yes, you can do a lot by yourself, but I can almost guarantee you that you can excel even farther with a team. Nobody gets anywhere by themselves, guaranteed. I can assure you of that. If you don't have a network of people like those around you here, then you're probably not being as efficient or excellent as you could. And I don't mean that you have to fund or employ the person. What I'm saying is have them in your network so you can probably reach out to them as an extension of your team. I met Elizabeth today, and she's an HR lady. She's awesome. I'm already thinking, how can I connect with her when it comes to HR? She'll be an extension of my team. You see, and she'll definitely fall in the category in your mind of how that's going to help your business excel. That's what a focused leader does. Okay. So in summary, we've talked about having core values as a leader. The 5-point core I talked about, having character, having integrity, being proficient in all those things that I talked about. And everything that I've said here, like I said, is recorded somewhere. If you want more of that, you just look it up and you Google it up and it comes up, some of these traits. But you have to ask yourself where you are as a leader, whether you are just leading yourself alone or you have others following you. And if nobody's following you, then you're really just leading yourself. And it's okay to lead yourself, but you got to have somebody that's going to come after you, take your place, so you can move on to bigger and better things. So with that said, now I have time for questions.
Please join me in a round of applause for Dr. Pat before we take questions.
Thank you.
You
You
want to sit down or you want to keep
Absolutely.
standing and walking?
It's up to you.
He wants to stand, run. Can I take the liberty of asking the first question?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm sitting and I'm hearing this. I'm thinking that most of what we focus on attaining as business people
Yes.
are very tangible items. We think about our SWAM certification, our license. We think about, the inventory. We think about stuff, right?
Yes.
But I'm going down my list. I'm like, okay, introspection, okay, vision, okay, accountability, credibility. But I couldn't run in Target if I wanted to and grab any of these items, right? How does one develop the capacity to lead? How do you? I hear these words. I wrote these words down. Did y'all write these down?
So talking about the application part of it, right?
Yeah.
And
how
quite
do we
frankly,
internalize these?
When I talk about these are individual qualities that we have to have, right? And
she thought she could get it in Target. Is that what it was? The leadership package. What was it?
Application, yes. Yeah. So how do you apply these things? These are all qualities that you have to have within yourself, right? And the application piece of it is, how do each of these things apply to what you're doing? First of all, it starts with understanding your brand, understanding what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Start with the end in mind. So when I talk about credibility is about, okay, I have a business that I'm doing. Now, the first question you ask yourself is, am I qualified to be doing this? That's where the credibility comes in. It starts with qualification. Because when people look at you, what are they thinking? Are you the authority in your space? Are you the obvious choice? That's what credibility really means. And so I say all these words and things just to give you an idea of how it applies to you. Because I can say it, but I don't know everybody. And otherwise, to those that I can relate to, like I was mentioning, because I can relate to her a lot because I know her a lot. I hope I do, right, when it comes to, the things she does. I know she's a great leader, so anything I say applies to her, and I know how credibility goes because she's a very credible person. But I don't know every one of you, so I'm asking you to think about you in your space. When I mention all these qualities and attributes, how does it apply to you? And then ask a question. So that's why we have this question and answer session, right? All right. So any other thing, application. How do you apply each of these attributes to yourself? Give me a thought about a quality that you have as a leader, and then I'll tell you how it applies to you. Somebody mentioned accountability. I kind of explained that. If you want to be accountable to others, or people have to be accountable to you, you have to be accountable to yourself. What does accountability mean? It means that whatever it is that you're doing, if you know you make a mistake or you make an error in your business or whatever, be the first person to admit it, to say, I messed up. I'm sorry. And go to your team and say, guess what? I know I should have done this, but I couldn't get it done in time, and I was going to do this for you. That's accountability. You're taking accountability for your actions, right? And what does that do for you? It enhances your credibility. You see how all these tie into play? So when I say these words and all that, I'm asking you to apply it to yourself and see, how does this apply to me? Now, as long as you understand what those words are, and if you don't understand what it is, you can always ask. Does that make sense?
Taking accountability enhances credibility.
Yes. Accountability enhances credibility, because what it does for you is that your team or people know, all your business partners know that, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to do this. I said people should come in at 9 o'clock, yet I'm coming in at 12 o'clock, and yet work starts at 9 o'clock. That's a mandate that I told them to be here for. When you come in, I'm sorry, I messed up. I did not communicate that I was going to be here late. That's not being accountable to yourself or to your team. It goes both ways. Accountability goes both ways. You see, and that will enhance your credibility. Man, he's really an accountable leader, because guess what? He takes responsibility for his actions. Taking responsibility for your actions is accountability.
other questions?
Any other thoughts about application of all the things that I said? Yes.
Yes, Tanika.
In the event that you level up, like, of all of the things, you get to a certain point, you get stuck. Because now you're responsible for implementing these same strategies for the people that you're trying to lead. Right? Where or how or not, or maybe, I don't know, do you share these with those who don't?
If I want to make sure I understand the question correctly, are you saying how do you share this with people who don't understand?
So as a newer leader in a different position,
Yes.
I'm not going to say master, but you have to follow
Yes.
to be able to be a leader. Like you
Yes.
have to be able to do it. And so you mentor
Yes.
others.
Yes.
You want somebody to be able to take
The spot. Yes.
right? But what does that look like for those who struggle with accountability?
Good. Good. I like your question. Okay. In the beginning, I talked about having an individual leadership development plan. Every leader has to have a plan on how they intend to attain their vision, the goals they set for themselves. But also with that comes having an accountability partner, somebody who's going to hold you accountable. I mentioned knowing what your Johari window is, what your blind spots are. Okay. Every leader should at least know what they're not good at. Great leaders know what they're not good at. And I've said this before, that you empower your strengths and you delegate your weaknesses. I don't like using the word weaknesses, but really they're challenges, all right? You empower your strengths and delegate your weaknesses. If I know what my weakness is, for instance, I'll tell you right now, I'm not an accountant. I understand accounting. I know what numbers should look like, balance sheet, P&Ls, and all that. But if you tell me to sit there and make sure all the math jives, I don't have the patience for it. So guess what? Accountant, see these numbers are correct, right? Because I delegated that to somebody who is more proficient at getting that done. That's because I understand what my blind spot is. So when you talk about, accountability, you've got to know yourself to grow yourself. And how you grow yourself is by putting something in your head to educate yourself, reading a lot. That's another thing that leaders do, right? And I could go down a laundry list. I have 52 of those things, the names that I mentioned. Reading is one of those things. You read, say, okay, I'm not accountable. What do I need to do to be accountable more? You read, and then it kind of helps you do that. And then you find ways to have somebody hold you accountable for being it. So that's how you solve that problem.
So can I ask this question then?
Yes.
Because I think Tanika is asking about others. Tanika is saying, I've done the work and I'm noticing that others around me are not as accountable.
Okay.
Are these attributes, these leadership
attributes.
traits,
Yes.
Are these things that we can impart to others, or are these things that others have to do the work to develop on their own?
Okay, great question.
Is that what you're asking?
Is that what you're asking? Okay, great. So I like the first. Yes. And because you mentioned accountability, I'm harping on that a lot because it's a key point in leadership. In fact, in my 4 core values that I have for a company, accountability is one of those, right? And so how do you impart that to your team? By exercising that yourself and then holding people accountable. When somebody is not doing what they're supposed to do, you educate them. Hey, let's sit down. Let's talk about this. And then you ask questions so they come to their own sense of self-awareness. So, oh man, I guess I should have done this better. So that's how you hold people accountable so they can become accountable. And sometimes you have to do training, right? That's why I do mentorship, coaching, and training, right? Because people have to be trained. Train yourself so you can train others. And so to solve that problem about others, it's about training. Every organization, whether you're growing yourself or it's just you, have to have something that you do to exercise the traits that you have, to exercise the processes you have, people, process, performance. I call it a P3 paradigm. People, process, performance. It starts with people. The people that you have will determine the health of your organization. I was talking to Elizabeth earlier about that. If you don't have the right people on the bus, as Jim Collins says, then you're probably not going to be as great, right? So who you hire matters, or who is running the show matters. Competent, competitive, proficient people are what you need on your team. I'm not saying get rid of the people that are not as proficient or as competent. Like I said, those 4 quadrants, figure out where they plug into and then apply it there. Okay, so hopefully I'm answering the questions, but ask me the questions because I know that what I said may not apply to all those because it was a strategic level, please. Yes.
So there's a question back here.
Yes. Go ahead.
No, I was just getting ready to respond exactly what she was asking.
Okay.
In regards to having qualified, competent people on the bus.
Yes.
If they are not like-minded or mindset and you are paying a salary, they're costing you money and actually going to drive you right off the bridge if they're not like-minded.
Yes.
Move forward.
So I think
Yes.
to that point, because
So you train them.
right, but then what I think we struggle with, in
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
different industries and
Yes.
levels of leadership,
Yes.
I kind of get stuck in the empowerment
Okay.
part of it, like, and when is enough to be able to just say, hey, maybe you're not working out.
Okay.
Because I struggle with fixing your crown and then, just cutting you loose.
Let me answer that.
Did you all hear that? The question is, y'all heard that in the back? Okay, so her question was, I've been adjusting your crown for the whole time you've been here. And at some point, enough has to be enough, right? Because as Dran indicated, there's a real loss that is associated with your lack of proficiency, lack of performance, et cetera, et cetera. So Dr. Pat's going to say, you can fire them at X number of days.
Oh, she knew I was going with that.
No.
Yeah, have you ever heard of the Pareto principle? The 80-20 rule? 80-20. Okay, all right. I don't care where you are or what. There's always going to be an 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. But guess what I did? I modified that. I made it 10, 80, and 10. Top 10% are the performers making things happen. The 80% are those people that are just there, riding the wave. Believe it or not. And it is that 10%, in most cases, are the ones that are making you the money. There's always going to be that bottom 10%. You might say, well, only 20% of people are going to prepare the principle. But in reality, it's really 10%. Really, because the other 10% of that 20% are probably some on the top of the 80%. But they're not making you as much money. So 20% of the people in the Pareto principle make you 80% of your revenue or your results or whatever the case may be. That's it. But I'm modifying that in this concept, 10, 80, 20. Now, the 10% on the bottom are those that are not working out. What do you do with those? This is my recommendation. I think I wrote that somewhere. You don't fire them yet. You give them a period of time, a mutually agreed upon time with a training process in place to attain specific milestones and goals. Now you might say, well, I've done that, but was it mutually agreed? I'm talking about the bottom 10% now. That I had mentioned the 4 people in your the potentials, and then the promoters. Those are your promoters. That 10% of your promoters, they are there. They're happy to be there. They're gonna say, "Oh, I love Black Brand. Oh, I love Gila. I love whatever the company is." But they're just there. They're not really making. They're not producing, let alone become performers. So you have it mutually agreed upon. You let them sign that. Say, okay, in 3 months, 90 days, I am going to accomplish these goals. I'm going to do this. And if I don't get X, Y done, I am going to be What do you like? Use the word? Let go. I hate to do that, yes.
I love that, and I love the question that she asked. I love that because, we can have someone on our side. It could be one little thing that they're missing and not really getting the full picture. But by you putting that in writing
Yes.
for them, and you making that time to work with them,
Yes.
they could be that person that takes their business,
Bingo.
by having them catch that one thing that was throwing them way off, by sitting down and teaching them one-on-one. Let's sit down, let's see what it is that you're at.
And thank you for saying that. And that's why I like to start off with DISC assessments to see where you fit in. Because if you're a square peg in a round hole, the chance of that you're not good. I don't care if you're great at numbers. If I put you in the front desk, you're always going to be on your phone doing math, calculating. You're not going to be taking care of the guests that are coming in. That's not your place. But here I am, I'm stuck at the front desk.
Yeah, just to add to what you're saying, and I could feel Tanika because Tanika has a heart, right? So sometimes you lead with your heart, and sometimes you want things more for them than they want for themselves. But by doing what he's recommending and sharing with them, well, this is where your weakness is, this is what you have to work on.
Yes.
If they don't step up to the plate, then they're not ready, right? So you gotta let them go because you can't
Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes it's because you have them in the wrong place. Yeah, because you did not start out with knowing what their strengths and weaknesses are. They're there doing a job. They're not there because they love or whatever position it is. Is it an earned position? If they are not in an earned position, then you have the person in the wrong place. Okay, we talked about earned position, right? So you gotta say, okay, what you really love doing here? Say, you know what, Tanika, I don't really like being on the front desk, and I'd rather be in the back there helping you all do the accounting. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, guess what? That's why you do that communication. Now you have that in writing, and they say, okay, well, now I'm back here. Now I want to perform. I got 3 months to get this right. And then you'll be surprised, like you mentioned, they're going to take off because they're in the right spot. Okay, so don't get rid of them immediately. Train them to excel. Okay,
Good
yes.
stuff. Oh, okay.
Thank you for saying that. That is so true. Leading by example. And that's why I started out by saying that as a leader, you got to have your own core values that you exercise, and then you demonstrate those things. Because your health, how you lead yourself, is going to determine how your organization is led. They're not mutually exclusive. Who you are is what your company is going to be, right? If you don't have integrity or values, guess what? You're not going to do that in your company. So exactly your point. Yeah, so exercise those core values, those qualities, those attributes, and then you're going to do well. Whatever the job description is that you want to fill, you've got to make sure that the person you're interviewing kind of meets those. Just not because it's on paper that they meet that. So that's the first thing. If they do great on paper, well, they're also probably going to do great in person, hopefully, right? But what most organizations do, which is also accessible to you in Black Brand, is you do an assessment of the individual that you want to bring on by determining what are their qualities, what are their strengths in business and also in person. Just get a profile on them. What areas are they strong in? What areas are they weak in? And all that, and then compare that to that particular job description that you have and see if they're a fit.
Is there an assessment that you recommend at the front end? We talked about DISC, perhaps after.
Well, yes, I mean
DISC on the front end.
I'm partial to DISC because it's leadership centric, right? So it gives you areas in 5. It gives you a profile in 5 areas. The person's, leadership. You're talking about being dominant, D, I, S, or C. Dominance is the D. Is, are they influential? In other words, is that something that you want at the front desk, right? Who can talk to people, right? And then the S is, are they stable, right? Is that somebody who's gonna rock the boat here and there? Or there's somebody who's even killed. And then the C is for somebody who's very compliant, with the stick, like accountants, for instance. dotting I's, crossing T's. So those are some of the things that you gotta look at. So you gotta screen that individual to make sure that they fall into the category you're looking for. And that way, you use that as part of the input into hiring them. Say, well, according to this assessment here, these are your strengths. And then you find out whether or not whatever the screening says matches what their interests are. Because sometimes you have a disc assessment, it gives you these results, but they're not really interested in doing that. And so then what they filled out on the application might not even match. So that it informs your interview. The disc assessment informs your interview, so you're not being reactive after the fact. Well, now I thought you're somebody who wants to be behind the desk, but now it turns out that you're somebody who wants to be out there talking and doing sales. Okay, so.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, Dr. Pat, this has been incredibly informative and engaging. Did we benefit from this discussion?
Amen.
Yes?
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Definitely.
Dr. Pat.
Pleasure. Any other questions, please let me know. I'll be here.
Phenomenal.
Stay with us online at Black Wall Street Today on Facebook and Black Wall Street Today on Instagram, and then follow us on Twitter as well at BWS Today. We look forward to talking again next week. Have a wonderful week. I have said and I will continue to say that the most important priority for the Black community is the Black community, not a particular political party.
Phenomenal.
Hey, yo, when I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black Wall Street. When I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black. When I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black. When I say Black, you say Wall Street. Black. Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street.
Phenomenal.
Talk soon.